Hi, I'm Jen, and I'm a mom. Um, any other parents, caregivers, family members? Yeah, there's my people. Um, I'm gonna share with you how hope can save a life, a mom's evolution. That girl. Um, so I have a couple asks because I'm going to share some very personal images of my gal, this is my story of being her mom, and it's not her story. And so I ask that I'm sharing my story, and she's not sharing her story. So I'm going to share pictures of her. If you I don't I don't pretend to feel very important about myself. So if perhaps you had the feeling that you were going to take a picture, I would just ask that you not include an image of my daughter in that picture, and that you not share that any of her images publicly. I would appreciate that. I will also give you a trigger warning that I'm going to be talking about suicide and self-harm. So if you need to step away, I completely agree and respect that. So the number one thing that you can do for yourself is to take care of yourself. So here we go. So there's my baby. Um, in 2005, I had the lovely opportunity of becoming a mom for the first time. And when you become a mom for the first time and a parent for the first time, you're taking care of this amazing responsibility of having created human life and bringing that human life into the world. You start thinking about, like, what is this human going to be? How is this human going to impact the world? Like, I'm so proud of this amazing, like, beautiful little human. And there are moments in your life that fundamentally change who you are. And becoming a mother for the first time fundamentally changed who I was. Unfortunately, I had another really quick moment of fundamental. We'll go back. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So unfortunately, I had another quick moment of a fundamental change in who I was as a human being. So on the day that we were so psyched to bring our incredible, beautiful, just perfect, tiny little baby girl home, we were told that we would not be going home with her. So that is a story for another moment. But this is my baby 2 days after she was born. And what we were told was that we had a pretty long road ahead of ourselves, and that we would likely be experiencing this for several weeks. But she is a miracle upon miracles, and we were home within a week. So from day one, a miracle, a gift of every moment of her life has been a gift from. And you don't realize that when you first have a baby, that what a miracle every day with that human is, until you're told one night at 9 p.m. that your baby's alive right now, but we're not sure she will be in the morning. That changes you fundamentally on who you're going to be. So we did see her as just this. We can move past that terrible picture. Just this amazing shining light of joy and beauty, and just the light of our lives. We could not imagine more joy and beauty in a human being than this wonderful little lady. And we just loved being her parents. She was the best baby. Like, literally, for parents in the room, like, she slept at 8 weeks. She slept through the night, like 10 hours a night, and she was on a schedule. So, like, taking her naps like 3 times a day, eating, like a dream baby. That's why she had a sister like 18 months later. But there were no more children after that because she didn't sleep. But then my beautiful baby went off to kindergarten, and when she went off to school, we were like, at 5 years old, you start thinking about, like, oh my gosh, these brilliant little babies, like, what are they going to do? They're going to have such an impact on the world. So she goes off to kindergarten, and we were like, this girl is brilliant. And we weren't wrong. The tests also said that she is brilliant. So we're like, oh my God, this girl's gonna cure cancer. She's gonna change this world. Like, people are gonna know her. And so kindergarten, by the end of kindergarten, we are going to the library. She is, because we couldn't afford the amount of books that she was reading at that point. We're bringing home 30, 40 books a week, and she's reading them in 2 days. Chapter books. Like, it was incredible. You couldn't do enough for this kid. She just ate it up. Just a brilliant young lady. And so she's just living life. But she gets identified as being gifted, and I don't knock any type of gifted program. I mean, it's great for people, but when somebody's self-identity starts becoming that they're so smart, they start not thinking about how else they could develop their self-identity. And so she had the self-identity of, I'm so smart. I'm the smartest person in the world. So smart. And so she went to school with kids who are so smart. And they're at a very young age talking about the Ivy League schools that they're going to go to. And she was convinced, like, she's going to Brown University. Cool, we support you because you are going to change the world. We've already seen it. We've already written it for you. We know this about you. But any middle school teachers out there? Middle school parents? Oh, yeah. Middle school is a dream, right? So, middle school girls, yeah, also a dream. I was a middle school teacher, and I was really good at it, so I was so psyched to have my kids become middle school age, because I was like, man, I'm gonna kill it being a middle school mom. No. I can teach middle school, super duper. Raising middle school kids, it's a different story. So the thing about kids that are taught that they're smart is that they also don't really learn how to navigate things when they get tough, because things never got tough. So they didn't have to develop tools for when things get difficult. What do you do? How do you work through tough times? So she didn't have any tools for when something got tough, because it was never going to get tough for her, right? She's brilliant. So then she gets into middle school, and she's in advanced math, and well, eventually math gets tough. No matter how brilliant you are, you have to pay attention in class. You need to listen, you need to do your work, you need to learn. But if you've always been told that you're smart and everything's always come to you really easily, now all of a sudden it's not coming easily. Oh, and by the way, you're a super disorganized person, like kind of a disaster in the world of organization. It's like the spiral of, well, now I'm not smart, so who am I? What does that mean? What do I do? Where do I go from here? And so she spiraled into this space of no self-identity, had no idea who she was. And she went to the middle school where I taught at for years, so I was really good friends with a lot of the people that were her teachers. And never once did anyone reach out to me except for her math teacher, 8th grade. And so I had a parent-teacher conference with this math teacher, and she was like, Jen, she's a disaster. I'm actually going to quote this here. Like, she doesn't pay attention in class. She doodles all the time. She's failing every class. She never turns in her homework. I don't think she's going to pass this SOL. She's also sitting there hearing this about herself. That's fun. Again, I will say that, like, yes, math was hard, and she doesn't believe that she needs to do anything that doesn't actually directly impact her life. That's homework, ever. So she never did homework. So she was never not going to pass that SOL. That's our state testing in Virginia. It was a lovely name. So she sat there and thanks, you're with me. Okay. I didn't make it up. So we're sitting there, and I'm just seeing this impact her, and it's at the end of the school year. She did pass her SOL, but what happened a week later, in June of 2019, is that my incredible baby was unsuccessful in attempting to take her life. Thank God. And Spencer, I really wish that she ended up at a hospital where you were in charge, because I will tell you, if you are a parent and you've ever had to do this, like, we need to hug after because nobody should have to go through it. Bringing your child to a mental health hospital and going through the things that you have to do to put your child there, and also a fundamental changing moment of who you are as a human. Sorry. No, actually, I'm not going to apologize because that's my story. But look, pockets. Well, I came prepared, right? Pockets. So she goes into the hospital and she's there and she's navigating it, and we are feeling like a real broken family. And she comes out of the hospital, but the thing is, like, that doesn't cure you. It just kind of gets you to a space of where you now have to take on the path yourselves as a family. And so this is my gal on her first day of high school in August of 2019. And so she looks okay. But that's the thing about mental health, and that's the thing about people who are struggling really hard, is what they're so good at is hiding it from you. They're so good at keeping it a secret that you don't know what's happening. The day I got a call that my daughter was in a really bad place and I had to bring her to the hospital was so shocking because I thought she was in a really good place because she had gotten really good at hiding it. So I learned what her triggers were. I learned that there aren't things that we all read about. Her trigger to show me that she was in a bad place was she's going to push my buttons. She's going to make me hurt however she can. She's going to make me feel what she feels. So she's going to go to school and she's going to look like this. And a lot of days she's going to look like this. But on most days, this is what she feels like. And this is what she looks like. And I can tell you I hate this picture. I hate this picture with every ounce of my being. And my child keeps this on her Instagram, and I just don't know why. But that's her story. And I hate it. But that's what it looks like. That's the hurt, that's the pain, and this is what we had for 2 years, 2+ years. I kept a child alive every day. Every day, every minute of that day, I kept her alive. We went to bed at night and I said, she's alive. We'll do it again tomorrow. And I had to also be my normal self and do my normal life and keep my kid alive day in and day out. But in 2001, not 2001, that would be way before she was born, 2021, maybe it was 2022. I don't know. Those years were kind of a blur for a lot of reasons. Also, pandemic. I was introduced to this incredible man, Rick Miller. So Rick was doing a session on, I think it was a mini master's in Virginia for Northern Virginia corrections and juvenile justice. So there were judges there were juvenile justice, there were probation officers, there was all sorts of people. And my incredible boss, William Bates, who's in training as the chief hoopologist, but chief treasure hunter. He's not a chief yet, but he's on probation. We're really hopeful someday for him. He knew some of the things I was going through, and he invited me to join a group of us that went to listen to Rick. And as I was there, my husband and I were really in a tough space of navigating, like, keeping our daughter alive. And when I listened to Rick, my world changed because Rick did this thing. And he, as Rick does, and he talked about goals, pathway, agency, future thinking, time travel. And I'm thinking about my daughter, and I can't tell you the last time she talked about a future self. And when you've seen a kid who has no hope inside of them, it is heartbreaking, and you will do anything to find a glimmer. And I would have given my last breath to hear her talk about a future self. And I was just grasping at anything I could do to save her and help her and do what I could for her. And Rick did this thing. And I have to hold this microphone, so it's going to be a little awkward. There we go. That's okay, because awkward's my jam. All right. So he does this thing. Oh my God, team. This is why you travel with a team. But also, like, if you need a job and you want a job, come to Falls Church because we rock. Um, so Rick does this thing where he holds his hands in a folder and he's like reading a story about somebody, and all I see is, you're a disaster. You're unorganized. You were going to change the world. You were going to cure cancer. You were going to do this and you were going to do that. And you are not. And I don't know how to fix it. But then he did this. And what I realized in that moment was all I was doing was writing her story. And I do trainings about people stopping writing stories for other people. And here I was, I wrote a story for this child. And I never stopped to think, who is she? What is her story? What is she doing? What is she meant to do? So I went home from that, and you can't talk to teenagers, and even when they're not in crisis, they're not really open to a lot of conversations. And like, you can't tell them like what you really want to tell them, maybe like direct, because like then we could just get to the point and like solve a bunch of stuff. Go. You can't do that. So I was like, okay, we're going to start talking about your future self and how do I get you to time travel so that I can get you to grasp a goal. Because if I can get you to grasp a goal, I can get us to talk about a future. And if I can get us to talk about a future, that means you have a future. That means I'm not keeping you alive day by day. It means you're surviving, and maybe one day you're going to thrive. And I can't even imagine what that life is like, because right now I'm just keeping a child alive. So I did. I invited her future self to the conversation. I said, who do you want to be? What do you see in your future? And I'm telling you, like, that's the thing about, I'm going to tell you, like, I live and breathe Kids at Hope right now, and I will for the rest of my days. And it is not something that's going to change somebody overnight, but it's going to change somebody, because it did change somebody. So eventually, and I told you, when she's in a bad place, what is she going to do? Push my buttons. She's going to hurt me. So we were in the kitchen one day, and I said to her, well, what do you want your future self to be? What do you want to do? And she said, well, it doesn't even matter because I can't get into Brown. Again, she had created a self-identity. And I said, well, babe, like, most people aren't going to get into Brown. So, like, what are some other options? And she was like, I don't know. I was like, well, let's think about it. What might be things you love to do? What brings you joy? What's something that brings you happiness? You have to find something that brings you joy. And she said, and I really don't know why she thought this would push my buttons. And she's like, well, maybe I want to go to a trade school. And I was like, that's cool. Like what trade school? What might you want to do? She was like, I don't know. Like baking. So I said, that's cool. Baking's awesome. I love baking. I love eating baked goods. I love baking. We love baking together. I said, you know what? There are incredible schools for cooking. Really? Yeah. You should look into them. I said, actually, there's one that's like right next to the school that I went to. Ironically, I went to Marist. Shout out Jacob. So I was like, the Culinary Institute of America is like the premier school of culinary arts, and it's literally right next to Marist. So like, I couldn't be up here. And she was like, okay. Well, this child has never researched anything a day in her life. She comes down the next morning. Mommy, did you know that the Culinary Institute of America has summer programs for high school students? I did not know that. Is that something you're interested in? Maybe. Oh, okay. Well, I'm really proud of you for looking that up and finding out. Like that's cool. Like let's look more into that. She comes home from school that day. Mommy, did you know my school has a culinary arts program? I didn't know that. Are you interested in that? Maybe. Okay. So then course, course selection comes up and she decides, I'm going to get in the culinary arts program at high school. Awesome. Because you know what? We are talking about a future. And there is nothing so bright in Jen's life than the day her daughter started talking about a future. I have never slept so well in my life. I have never breathed such a sigh of relief when I thought that my daughter had a future, that I wasn't planning a funeral, because I can't tell you how many times I thought I was going to be. And at that time, the self-harm kind of got slowed down, and she kind of got more into taking care of herself. And she started doing things that she really loved. And she was in the culinary arts program. And you know who her ace became at school? Because nobody else was, except her school counselor. So major shout out to school counselors, because that lady saved our life a lot. Her chef. Her chef changed her life. She was tough. She had boundaries. She didn't let my daughter, I almost did her name again. She didn't let her do her normal shenanigans. Like she called her out on crap. She made her follow through. She made her do stuff, and she's good at it. She went to prom. Look at that beauty. I mean, she's just the most beautiful thing I ever saw in my life, and I can't imagine that I would have had days without her. I just can't imagine it. And the was our cat. She graduated high school. So also, I did drag that child through high school kicking and screaming, but we did it, and I did it. So I'm proud of us. So this is my baby. She attends the Culinary Institute of America as a baking and pastry student. She will graduate from the Culinary Institute of America on April 17th as a pastry chef. Thank you. Um, Hope can change a life. It can save a life. Um, and I can thank Rick because he gave me the tools to save my daughter's life. I don't know where I would be without Kids at Hope. I don't know where I would be without my daughter. Because she is a light, and she is going to change this world the way she wants to change it. And she's changed me. And if I can do something to change the world because of her, then geez Louise, she did change the world. Just not curing cancer. I mean, maybe someday, but she's doing a lot of change, and I will thank all of you for giving me hope and kindness the past few days. So thank you very much.